So my name is Zachary Olson. I'm just here to get to know a little bit more about you. I'll be going through a list of a few questions to learn more about you. First of all, I'd like you to tell me a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, well, thank you. My name is Dallin Anderson. I'm currently a student at Utah Valley University. I'm majoring in business management while competing as a student athlete on UVU's track and field team. I currently work for a company called MTN Retail Advisors. Some previous employment that I have was work in construction, where I learned a lot of different things, and I also have worked other smaller jobs, but those are the two most recent jobs that I have, and so those consist of probably the most experience that I have.
Okay, thanks for sharing. First off, I'd like to know, if you could tell me a time that you showed initiative, what prompted you to get started, and what were the results?
Yeah, so my current job, I do this thing called web scraping, and while doing that, I have gotten comfortable doing it, and I saw that there was an opening for a new job where I would be learning a new skill, and had to take quite a bit of time to learn that, which is called web scraping. So I took the initiative to reach out to my boss and tell him that I was interested in that job, and it's been really good. I've learned how to web scrape, which has been super useful to me, and I'm very thankful that I took the initiative to do that.
So what is web scraping?
So web scraping is consists of going onto a website and collecting all that data and basically putting it into the computer for our company.
Okay. Yeah, that's super good. It's a great skill to learn and have with you. And what was the most useful criticism throughout your life that you've ever received from an immediate supervisor? And with that criticism, how did you embrace this feedback and achieve a positive outcome?
Yeah, so similar to what I just shared with you, one of the things with my job is the more you do something, the more comfortable you get. But one thing that my boss shared with me is that I should not get comfortable, because when you get comfortable is when you make a mistake. You start to assume things rather than really look at the details. And what I do with my job is go in and look at different grocery stores, and if I just assume that something is there, then I'll probably just skim over it and not really get the correct information all the time. So getting comfortable can be something that is not good for me, and so that's really been something that has helped me in my job.
Thank you. And something that we love and always ask to people that we talk to in an interview is, what do you feel like you have to offer above the average employee when it comes to accomplishing your daily responsibilities and goals? And could you share a specific example of that?
Yes, so something that's different, I feel that is different, separates me from other people, are usually focused on getting their work done, doing their work the right way, which is something that is very important. For me, I like to do my job well, but I also like to help others do their job. And doing that in return helps me feel more accountable, and helps me be better. And I feel like that is something that really separates me from other people.
Okay. Could you describe a time when you elevated the level of value you brought to a customer over time?
Yes, so when I was working construction, I learned lots of different things. I was doing landscaping, so I was working with homes and people's backyards, and there was one time when I was supposed to clean up a certain area or sweep off a certain area because we had gotten dirt all over part of this person's driveway in their backyard. But instead of just cleaning that one section, I just swept over the entire thing, making their entire back patio look better, which I feel like helped build a better relationship with that customer, because they now had a better respect for me, even though I did not have to do that for them.
Could you recall a time when you were less than pleased with your performance?
Yeah, so there was a time recently when I was working, doing that web scraping I was telling you about, and because I'm a student athlete, I go do track practice, and not too long after that, I will start working. And so there was one time when I was working and I was thinking about what I had previously done, which was just come from track practice. And I had not done as good of a job as I should have. I should have been more productive, and that is because I was not mentally focused on what I should have been, which was working and doing that web scraping.
Okay, and what did you do about it?
One thing that I had to do is go back and sort of redo some of the things that I had done and verify that it was all good. And then after that, change the mindset and realize that track practice is over. I don't need to worry about that. What I need to do right now is just focus on work.
And you've talked a lot about how you're a hard worker with you're studying full time, you're working, as well as you're a student athlete. Could you describe your level of competitiveness?
Yeah, so one example of just being competitive is, me obviously being an athlete, I'm always competing. Another thing is when I was being hired to work construction, my boss was describing how hard of a job it had been for previous people, and me being competitive against others, but also being very competitive against myself. I wanted to prove to him and to myself that although working was a very hard job, that I could do it and I could do it right.
And where's a specific situation where this competitiveness helped you achieve better results than your peers around you?
Well, I think a lot of being competitive is setting goals and competing to achieve those goals. So in track, I will write down a goal and a time that I want to get, and I will work towards to get that time. And if I do, then I'll write down a new goal and try something new.
Could you think of an example when one of your customers was not pleased with something you or your team did, and what was the situation? How did you?
Yeah, so back when I was working construction, there was one time we were working with what are called pavers, and what we were really doing is building a sidewalk, but using these things called pavers, they're similar to bricks, and we put them in a certain pattern, and we did that, and the customer that we had didn't really like the way that we had done it, and rather than slightly adjust or try and convince the person that it would be okay, we simply went through and took it out and redid it to fit the needs of that customer.
And could you also give an example of a time when you successfully persuaded your peers to change their minds and follow your recommendations?
Yes, so like I said, when I am competing at track practice, we have workouts that we need to do, and there are many times when we will be given a workout and our coach will leave or focus his attention on other things or other athletes. And there was one specific time that some of the athletes on the track team, because it was a pretty long and hard workout, they decided that they were maybe just going to cut it short, and I was able to convince them to finish it, and I personally finished it with them, and we were all glad that we had done it because we had gotten stronger, and it really helped us pushing through and doing that, even though there wasn't even really anyone watching over us to do it.
Something that's really important, the integrity. doing that when other people aren't watching and still just being responsible. That's something that we love. Also, could you share a time when you were able to directly attribute your probing skills to solve a problem with a difficult customer?
Yeah, so going back to work in construction, we deal a lot with problems. We counter a lot of problems, and we work with customers every single day. So, there's one specific time when we ran into a problem and we were deciding what we needed to do. Rather than just take a guess on what we should do, I just decided that it'd be best if we went home and came back the next day, and we'd all discussed what we decided would be the best thing to do, and we did it right the next day, rather than simply just trying to get done with that specific job that night.
And something that's very common in our lives and in the workforce is coming into contact with different different problems and tasks at hand. Could you tell me of a time when you identified a new, unusual, or different approach for addressing a problem or task, and how did you come to the solution?
So there was one time when when we were at track practice, and we decided that one thing that was written down would not be the best exercise for that workout. And so instead of trying to do it and trying to push through that workout, we contacted our coach, asked him if that's what we really needed to do, and he told us that that was actually an error, and that specific exercise was not supposed to be there. So I think that rather than always try and do what you are told, sometimes if something seems unusual, or if you don't feel like it is the best fit, the best thing to do is ask. And thankfully we did that day, and we found out that that was something that we were not actually supposed to do.
Okay. That's always good to be aware of your surroundings and make adjustments and adaptations to get there. I want to say this time, do you have any questions for me or anything that I could clarify to you?
Yes, one question would just be, what are some attributes that you have seen in people that have succeeded in this kind of job?
Okay, in this job force, some of the attributes that are really important is honestly people who have the dedication to keep going. Because like I talked about earlier, there's lots of times when we have problems, difficulties, and a lot of people, it's just easy to quit. We've had some people that just don't want to work hard, and so hard work and dedication and just the heart to keep going. That's something that's really important, and we really look for that in people, as well as just a positive attitude. Because if you're positive, and other people around you will follow that energy, and it creates a better work environment. Does that help you understand that a little bit better?
Yes. One last question I have would be, what are some problems that people, especially new employees, often encounter in this kind of job?
Some of the problems that people encounter in this is a lot of times people expect it to be easy, expect life just to come to them just from the nature of how people have grown up and possibly other bosses. What we like to do is we like to create an environment where it is hard work, but you have so many people around you. Something that is really important is we do love it when you can admit your mistakes and you can go to the people above you to help learn and grow, because that's just how people progress. And a lot of people just try to keep it to themselves, just quit and don't give a full effort. So as long as the communication is there, then everything is all good and we can continue successful and happy together.
Thank you. That makes sense.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming in, Dallin. It was nice to meet you.
Thank you for your time.